real property of the county. Did you all do that?
Yes, we did. We had a public hearing.
No, I've got that public hearing comes later. Did you all as a board approve to begin with the manual that stated all of this?
Yes, we did. Yes,
I'd like to hear this from some of the other commissioners too, please.
We did.
Okay. All right, one main thing here is that, is brought back by the chairman of the NAACP, senior citizens have not, if you read in the paper, it says they may have special, privileges and you might want to apply for those. Nowhere has it been told them what they need to do or how they could apply or what category they fall in. If you're 65 years of age or older and your income is only $12,000 a year, or you are disabled and your income is only $12,000 a year, you can go to the tax office, you can fill out the forms, and you are eligible for quite a reduction in your tax reevaluation. The taxes may not increase this year, like the county manager just said. They may not increase that much this year. What's going to happen 2 or 3 years down the line when we're looking at these high reevaluations that we were given? My property, not my house, but my land, moved from $15,000 to $48,000. Now I'm sorry, there's something wrong with that. I live in a hog pen. For years, my grandfather had nothing but a hog pen there because the land is not even suitable to be cultivated, and yet it was appraised for $49,000, and it was only $15,000 in 2000. Something is wrong with that picture. We have given sticker shots to the citizens of Gates County, which could have been avoided. Over half of the counties in the state of North Carolina do the reevaluation every 4 years instead of every 8 years to avoid sticker shock and to give people a chance to be heard and to talk and to say why they think their evaluation was not fair or why, and to be heard. And what Gates County has chosen to do is to wait to 8 years so you can get us at the worst possible point up here on the mark and say, okay, your taxes are not going to be raised this year. You've not told me my taxes are not going to be raised 2 or 3 years from now, that same reevaluation. And as the chairman of the NAACP said, people will lose their homes. They cannot make their house payments, their escrows will go up. There is no way that they can make payments on this amount of money. Do I have more than 3 minutes?
All right, you got some more seconds. We'll
Okay.
continue with our.
The county assessor appraises and assesses all property in the county in accordance with the Machinery Act and Subchapter 2 of Chapter 105 of the North Carolina General Statutes. The assessor creates an abstract of property record card for all real property in the county, called from the listing system. I know this has been done because I have the wrong cards. The assessors in North Carolina are appointed rather than elected. And we've already been through that process, so I'm going to go over and skip that part. An assessor is not an employee at will, whose employment may not be terminated at any time. And I think there's 1 or 2 commissioners that were not clear on that fact. That employer at will means you can walk up to their desk and say, your services are no longer needed, you may leave at 12 o'clock today. That the tax assessor can actually work that way, has to prove that he or she has broken the law and done something that was not appropriate. Upon appointment, an assessor may take the constitutional and that has been done. The most common situation in which outside contractors are employed is when you have assessment, and that has been done. About half of the state's counties, as I said, do it every 4 years to eliminate sticker shock. The price of a valuation standard, and if you look in the law, there it is right there, valuation standard. Each one of you should have a copy of that as a tax assessor did their job. You should have a copy of this law at the bottom of each page. It references what number in the law it's talking about, and the exact page that you can find it on. And that price is to be at which the price it would be if it changed hands between a willing and financially able buyer and willing seller. Nobody in their right mind is going to pay $49,000 for my land that wouldn't even perk under today's standards. It didn't have to perk when I built the house there. It wouldn't perk today. The back part of our acreage we purchased several years later, just put a buffers on around the farm because my grandparents had died. It holds water, so my husband cannot even cut the grass unless he puts pipes. He's got pipes like you put in your driveway under the land to drain the water off. There's something wrong with that evaluation. Now, I'm not fussing about the house, I'm fussing about the land.
Ms. Weston, I think that, and I certainly, we have procedures in place for that. And I mean, if you,
I'm following those procedures. I have followed those procedures, but I want you all to know what's going on, just like he said. This is not only, and I'm not just talking about myself, I'm talking about everybody in Dix County is finding themselves in the same situation. Not just me.
right, and certainly the commissioners, we as commissioners, we are feeling the same thing. You know, every one of us sitting here are citizens and payers of taxes to the county as well.
I think it's one of those things that you need to really listen to. Mass appraisal is a systematic appraisal of groups of properties commonly referred to as neighborhoods. In a mass appraisal system, the assessor must make valuation judgments about groups of properties and must be able to develop, support, and explain standardized adjustments and evaluation model among the classes, construction types, and that particular neighborhood or community and other property groups. And the last piece of property that's sold on the White Oak, on my end of White Oak Road, for a house to be erected on, was sold for $25,000, which is a long way below my $49,000. So somebody's not looking at the communities. He told me when I talked with him that they were going by the development in Drum Hill. I don't live in Drum Hill. I don't live in Whitehurst. I don't live in those subdivisions where people have no better sense than to come into county and pay $55,000 for an the law says it's to be done by neighborhoods and communities and the value of those neighborhoods and those communities. Right around the corner, there was a piece of land, a big farm that was sold for $1 million for a subdivision. And then the zoning laws changed, and that man found out he couldn't do what he wanted to. But he's recently sold 2 acres of land on that property. They sold for $25,000 an acre. Now, there's something wrong when you're putting $49,000 on somebody's acre of land when it's not selling for that in our community. I'm talking about on the Turner Road, this is about 2 miles from me where that land, that property was sold. And that's the way it is throughout the whole county. They're looking at the high value and Drum Hill and the Whitehurst developments, and what Kenny Bugg is fixing to ask for 2 more subdivisions. So I'm going to raise our taxes again because of value, because these people think they're getting a deal. And we have not been looked at fairly. And the sales comparison approach should compare with the property being appraised with the similar properties that have recently been sold. And I have just told you what the similar properties that have just recently been sold for. Only those properties first, where mine wouldn't even first. So we're supposed to look at soil samples, we're supposed to look at a lot of things when we do a reevaluation. Like I said, if you don't believe me, read the law for yourself. Sufficient sales data is available for similar properties. All you have to do is go to the tax office, pull up White Oak Road and look for the land that just sold on it. See if I'm not telling you the truth. Like I said, we don't live in Drum Hill, we don't live in Whitehurst. The assessor's first step in conducting a county-wide evaluation is to prepare uniform schedules of value standards and rules to be used in appraising real property at its true value and its present value. Now, I called here 3 weeks in a row. Let me back up. Now, you tell me when I'm running down. I'll be glad to be quiet. But in the February meeting...
Well, let's try to wrap it up within the next minute or so.
Sir?
Let's try to wrap it up within the next minute.
Okay, and
She can have my minute.
No, we're not going to pass minutes like that. You have something to say.
the February meeting, I spoke to y'all about what was going to happen if the evaluation was high, as I had been told by the tax office, it would probably be double. In some instances, it was triple. In my case, it was almost triple. Now, that information was not given to us. Mrs. McGinnis stood up after I spoke. I asked her if she had anything she wanted to add what I said. She said, only this is February. I need to look back in a minute. In the next 2 weeks, all taxpayers in this county will receive a letter telling them what the evaluation of their land was. You know when you got your letters, you got it the same time I did in April. Now, this was not followed. It was not done correctly. Now, the first step was not done. The next thing was supposed to have been posted in her office, what the values were going to be per square foot, and the value of land was going to be based upon. This was not done. Now, I've used that 1 minute. If you will agree to follow Robert's Rules of Order, I can continue to show you where the law is not being followed. Thank you.